Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. DBougie86 here again. Back finally. If you guys haven't noticed, it's been a while since I actually posted to this channel, per se. But there's a reason for that. Pretty much after the 31 Days of Horror last year, I got very burnt out on doing videos. It was just not my routine because, one thing, I'm part of multiple podcasts. If you guys haven't been following my podcast career lately, I have a bunch of shows that I'm dedicated to, and it's been kind of hard for me to bring content to this format for a while now. It's just been kind of up in the air. Like, am I going to do videos? I was kind of sick of just doing updates to, that was the other thing. I'm like, because it was just so much easier just putting shit away, let's be honest. Why keep all that shit out and look like an episode of horror? If you're wondering, I was actually just going through some movies. That's why it looks like that right now. So, yeah, that's about it. It's just been hectic for me to try to sit down and do videos for a while. And it's not something that I did not want to stop doing. It's just something that I wanted to try to do and move a few things around to make it a little bit more fun for you guys too. I know you guys are sick of like random reviews and stuff like that. You rather to see other content out there, and I'm thinking of new ways to approach it. So, with this being said, I'm going to be doing this new series on this channel called My Horror Stories, where I give you the history of a movie that I appreciate a lot and really dug, or something that maybe you guys did not know that I knew about a lot about. But yeah, the first episode, if you've seen the title, is going to be on a film titled Session 9. Yes, Session 9, of course, is directed by Brad Anderson, who's... This is pretty much... he did like the Masters of Horror segment, sounds like, which I actually appreciate that segment. That's actually a very interesting one for the Masters of Horror. It wasn't like just like... what's the word I'm looking for? It had a kind of like a message within it that I kind of dug, and it kind of is a good counterpiece to his film Session 9. But he's done like Trans-Suburban, which is more like a thriller movie. He even did a romantic comedy, Next Stop Wonderland, which was actually, ironically enough, filmed in my area. It was filmed at mostly Wonderland Station, which is on the Blue Line. And this film is no different. Session 9 takes place in... The majority of it takes place in the old Danvers mental institution that's no longer really there. You can see, like, the front of the building still. They tore a lot of it down, and a lot of it's, like, new, like, townhouses and stuff like that. But, Session 9, I have a very interesting history with this movie, growing up with it. I first seen it, I think, on USA, because it was like a USA network movie. That's who actually put this film out. It was originally shown on like the USA channel here, like channel 56. Makes sense. But I have a very interesting history because I'm not gonna lie, the first time I seen this movie, I did not like it because it was totally something different than I thought it was gonna be. I expected more like a normal, straightforward, haunted ghost story. I did not know I was going to get some psychological horror up in this movie the first time I seen it. And it's a very slow burn film in that sense, where you're following the story and you're like, I waited that long for that? It's kind of like one of those movies. But the thing is, I found a lot more on rewatch with this movie, and I think a lot of viewers could on rewatch with it. For starters, the performances of the characters is great. This is actually some interesting casting for a movie. I knew David Caruso for mostly like CSI Miami at this point. A few like small roles in like Twins and like other movies before I discovered he actually did other horror movies after before this, like Without Warning, and you know he was in Rambo: First Blood. But you know I actually like Peter Mullen in the movie too, who plays the second lead of the movie. Who I should also mention, there will be spoilers in like these talks. Uh, Pretty much Peter Mullen's character is the guy that's having like a fucking nervous breakdown throughout the movie, where he ends up fucking going on a killing spree because he just snapped one day, and you know we see flashbacks of him having a fight with his wife and the young kid, and we find out through the final like flashbacks that he actually killed them before he went on this job, you know. But yeah, it's actually a very interesting aspect of his character, having him in this situation, in this building at the time. Then we get like Josh Lucas, who actually has some like cat and mouse moments with Caruso's character. Because I didn't actually rewatch this for this, but I believe either David Caruso's ex is with Josh Lucas now, or it's the other way around. So they have like this back and forth fighting over, you know, like, you know, that relationship, and you know it's kind of awkward that they actually are doing this job together, you know, in that sense. And you get a few characters also in this. Actually, the guy who actually wrote this movie is actually Stephen Givadon, I believe that's how you pronounce that. He actually wrote the screenplay for this film and shit like that, and it was actually very interesting in that aspect of it. But the thing I always dug on rewatch of this movie is the creepiness of the area itself of Danvers Mental Institution. Uh, you know, like, this is a funny story. I actually drove by this place before once, construction was going away of it being turned down to be turned into the townhouses. And I'm like, fuck, I would never want to stay there at all. I drove by this place numerous times up on like Route 1, you could get to it that way. And it's fucking crazy, it does look like a giant bat as you see it in the movie. And I love that about the movie. I love the back and forth and the fights that these guys get through, because there's a turmoil to get this job done in time, because Caruso decided to take like this impossible job of finishing this place in a matter amount of time and shit, and it's like, how the fuck are you gonna do that, but it's actually very interesting in that aspect of the film when you go in it. I love the eeriness of the score of this film on rewatch. When I first seen this, I wasn't very appreciative of soundtracks as I am now. But the score is kind of haunting because it's so, like, not there, but then when it is there, it just adds, like, this brilliant atmosphere to the movie throughout it, of tension building, because the tension is not of, like, if this place is haunted. It's the tension is who's fucking killing all these dudes and what the fuck is going on and who's gonna fucking snap on who first. Because, you have that famous moment in this movie where David Caruso's like, hey, fuck you, So good. So fucking good. Also, I love Paul Guilfoyle, who's in the beginning of this movie, as the guy showing David Caruso and Peter Mullen around the place that they're going to work in. He's like the proprietor of the Danvers Mental Institution. It was actually very cool because Paul Guilfoyle is actually a Boston actor. And it was cool that they actually got some authenticity into this movie, It was fucking cool in that aspect, and I loved it for that. The other thing that I really dug about this is the tapes that Stephen Givadon's character actually listens to in the movie. And, yeah, they're fucking eerie as all fuck, because I'm not sure if it was just an actor that recorded those, or they just actually really found fucking tapes from like this research, but it's fucking creepy. You know, just hearing that person with like the split personalities. Uh, it's nuts. It's fucking nuts. This movie. It goes to places that I never thought a movie like this would go, because you know, like I said, I was expecting like a just a fucking standard run of the mill fucking haunted house movie, but this movie has depth that could be dissected on rewatch for it. That I think a lot of people should appreciate. Rewatch this film if you did not like it the first time. I say check it out again. It's something that I think could be appreciated over time of the storytelling that this film is trying to display. It's a very different film, especially if you watch this and then watch his Masters of Horror short. They go into places that normal horror stories do not go, and that is like the real world aspect of horror, mental illness, things like that that you think would not work well for this type of movie. And I dig this movie for that a lot. Plus, it also has a cameo by Larry Fessenden, which never hurts a movie. I could go with a lot of Larry Fessenden in like this era of movies right now. But yeah, Session 9, that is my horror story for it. I hope you enjoyed it. And what's your relationship with this movie? Leave it down in the comments below. I'd like to hear about it. So yeah, that's it for this episode of My Horror Stories, guys. I'll have a few more coming up here and there. I think it's a lot easier. It's kind of like a simpler type of structure, and I hope you liked it. Some will be more personal, since it is like a movie that I just saw that, you know, you actually mentioned this movie in one of the chats recently, and I'm like, have you rewatched the movie since you seen it? You know, like somebody was like, yeah, it's kind of overrated. You know, like I say that about a lot of movies too. Don't get me wrong, but you know, I just like to see if they actually rewatch the movie before they're making that sense of maybe it was like a one-time watch type of deal. I'm that type of viewer. Like, yeah, there's a lot of movies that I didn't like on first watch that I kind of appreciate more on tons of rewatches of them. So, yeah, that's this episode. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back with another one soon. I'm probably gonna go for something a little bit more 80s maybe to tell you my history with the movie. But yeah, that's about it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.